ToonGrin.com.
Wait a minute. They're not camping. They're moving in. This ought to be fun. Game on.
Hello and welcome to Watchin' Stuff, the show about watching stuff. I'm Nero, with me is my Canadian counterpart WHYBOY, and today we're taking a look at a movie that nobody asked for.
Actually, somebody did ask us to do this.
No, I don't mean someone asked us to do this. I mean, there was no outcry by like a community or group or fan base that was like, I think it's about time. We need a Woody Woodpecker movie.
Man, now there hasn't been any sort of outcry for that. And really, just thinking back on it, like, there's never been any sort of Woody Woodpecker movie in any sort of form and such. Like, Yogi Bear, like, there's those old 90s Yogi Bear movies and such. Like, this is just basically in the same realm as Marmaduke. Just, like, this is something that no one's ever really thought about to do, mostly because there's not really the dire fan base that really wants this sort of thing.
Nobody asked for it, and somebody still made it.
Yep, exactly. This is the Woody Woodpecker movie, first made in, like, Brazil and such, but now we got an English version over here. Yay!
What's the matter, WHYBOY? You don't like Big Power Film?
Well, my problem is that this is basically, like, you and me have reviewed, like, many of these live-action cartoon adaptations.
It's gotten to the point where it's like we did The Cat in the Hat, I don't know if we did the Smurfs, I guess because I think we saw the two Smurf films and we're like, you know what, it's not even worth it, like...
Well, you saw two Smurf films, I was just like, no.
Like, you're not missing much. You did Yogi Bear,
all the Scooby-Doo live-action movies I did.
Scooby-Doo live-action, I'm trying to think if there was another... Does stuff like G.I. Joe count? Would you say that...
I would say G.I. Joe counts because it's originally based off the cartoon, and even Transformers would count to a sense.
Yeah, and I reviewed, I believe, both G.I. Joe live-action films.
Yeah.
I never reviewed the Transformer live-action films because Michael Bay doesn't deserve my time.
Yeah.
If he wants constructive criticism to make his film better, then he should just pay me. Because he is not worth my time at all.
Yep, exactly. And we reviewed all these movies, and there's definitely been a range of sort of like bad to like okay and all that. Like Paddington, like still is probably the best live-action cartoon that we've ever seen. Period.
I would argue both Paddington films, 1 and 2, are part of... If I had to do just like a list where it's like top 10 films of all time, it would be in that list. Easily.
Yeah, that's feeling like it's one of my top 10 films of all time as well. Like, it's just that good. But everything else has been pretty mediocre. mediocre to just plain
or
annoying.
Insultingly stupid, yeah. Like, the Transformer movies are a very good indication of that, with it's like, you know, it's got like fart jokes and pot jokes, and you realize like, oh yeah, because people, you know, the kids that this toy is made for really should be having these jokes.
Yeah, they sure would love that. And now we got the Woody Woodpecker movie, which is basically, if you think of a stereotypical live-action cartoon adaptation, it is everything that you're thinking of. It's got the poop jokes, it's got the slapstick, it's got the fact that the main character, Woody Woodpecker, isn't really the main character of this whole story.
I wonder if that's because... I wonder if this keeps happening because they... Okay, like the Scooby-Doo one, they make the character a special effect.
Yeah.
And, like, they don't have the money to do anything. So, because they don't have the money to actually do anything, they cut the character out as much as possible. Like, I never saw the Yogi Bear one, even though... The visual, he looks like crap. The special effect for him looks really bad. In fact, I would dare say it looks about on par with the Woody Woodpecker look. And I don't know what it is.
I honestly wouldn't say that. I definitely feel in comparison, like, the Woody Woodpecker basically really just juts out on screen and such. While Yogi Bear at least has some sort of, like, light fixtures to him to basically make his fur at least blend it a little bit more.
Well, it comes to the character designs though. Like they did this in Woody, they do it in Yogi, they did it in the Smurfs, where they want to somehow capture and hold on to the look of the characters from whatever property they're from like animation, but they also want it to look visually realistic in terms of CGI quality. So you just take a nosedive into the Uncanny Valley. Because like, oh, look at Woody Woodpecker's realistic-esque eyes. And then you remember his eyes take up like a good portion of his face and they look really creepy and off-putting. And it was the same thing with the Smurfs. It's the same thing with Yogi Bear.
Yeah.
Like, if you're going to keep the design in such a way to have that cartoon aesthetically designed look, the huge eyes and stuff like that, then you might as well just make the film animated. At least with Paddington, he looks like a real bear in a hat and duffel coat.
Yeah.
They didn't try to make him look like a cartoon bear. Imagine seeing all these films. I'm just knowing that there's going to come a day, unlike any other, where they finally decide they're going to do that Who Framed Roger Rabbit remake that's been in talk for a while, and like Roger's going to be CGI, and he's going to like be made to look realistic, but then he's going to have like these big eyes, and he's going to look like crap, and it'll age really quickly, and then they'll probably hire like Seth Rogen to be Judge Doom. Or somebody like see that yeah you laugh, but you're like, you know what, they would do it.
Yeah.
They would do it.
Yeah, they probably would. Oh god. But I'm still just trying to wrap my mind.
What's the plot?
Yeah.
Like, it's a little bit of everything, right? It's a little bit of Alvin and the Chipmunks 2. It's a little bit of Country Bears Jamboree.
Yeah, basically we have Woody in the woods, just flying about, just doing his own thing. But then another plot just comes into the whole fray. Like Lassie from Psych basically just comes in as just like this lawyer who basically just got fired from his old job. So now he wants to build like this very big fancy place right on the waterfront to basically flip it to make a whole lot of money. But Woody Woodpecker's just like, nah, I don't want that house there. And so he just starts to terrorize him.
Don't forget the other subplot that he also has to be a deadbeat dad that puts work before anything else.
Yeah.
So that needs to come into play, and he has a strained relationship with his son, played by Graham Verchire. I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name right, but he did a terrible job. And I don't even put it on him. Actually, the thing is, I can't blame anybody as a performer for being crappy in this, because it's like, well, it's such a bare minimum script. It's obviously that this is the kind of script you do because you're like, okay, I'm an actor. Technically I live paycheck to paycheck. I live through my art.
Yeah, and if you know, like,
this is an easy paycheck.
Yeah, if you know, like, Timothy Monson's, like, track record, like, as Lassie and all that, like, he has really good comedic timing and such. So he was on
Psych. He's on Psych. He was on Supernatural. He's a great performer, honestly. I highly recommend, if anyone has never seen it, check out Gallivant. It is a show that is made to be like almost like a Disney musical, and I think it was actually made by Disney, and then they used it just as like if I recall, I might be wrong on this, but I think they used it as a filler show between Once Upon a Time, so they really didn't care if the show sank or swam. Yeah. And I think it got maybe 2 seasons, and then they just axed it, which is a shame because it's so much better than Once Upon a Time. Because Once Upon a Time actually got to the point now where they basically did a soft reboot where initially it was about this one person who was like the chosen one, and now they did like a soft reboot where the child to the chosen one is grown up, so now he's the main adult and now his kid's the chosen one. Right. And it's like, screw that nonsense and all that noise. But like, that's the thing. Timothy Odmanson is a great actor. He's wonderful. Eric Bauza, the voice of Woody Woodpecker in this. Eric Bauza is a great performer. I believe he actually was on the animated G.I. Joe miniseries, G.I. Joe Resolute.
Okay.
And nice. I think he was one of the 4 voice actors that was on that show. Because I think the thing about that show was like it had like 4 voice actors, and all of them played like multiple characters. So it was like Charlie Adler, Eric Bauza, Gray Delisle, I think she's called Gray Griffin now because I believe she got married.
Yeah.
And Steve Blum. Those were like the 4 voice actors, and they played every character. And there was like over 20 some odd Joes and Cobra member units, and it was really cool.
Right. So like the cast here is like top quality stuff. Like they would be able to hold a movie together if they had the script that would go about it. But as we've just been describing it, like doesn't these sound like the most generic plot lines that you've seen in countless movies?
They even do the a festival or battle of the bands or stage performance. We've seen it where it's like, we need to do this one thing and it will I guess help. Except the battle of the bands thing in this doesn't connect to anything else. It doesn't connect to stopping his dad from developing the land to build a house. See, I can't help but think this was a more generic script.
Yeah.
And somebody came in to be like, well, let's change it up a bit.
Put
by combining other
generic scripts on top of it.
And it's you just took elements from all these generic things where it's you already had a actual decent setup for a movie in and of itself where it's Scott McNeil, yes, the Scott McNeil, that Scott McNeil, Dinobot Scott McNeil, him and, oh god, I'm trying to see who the other actor was because I don't remember the other. Okay, Adrian Glenn McMorran. You had Scott McNeil and Adrian Glenn McMorran playing these two hunters called the Grimes brothers, Nate and Otis Grime. And the idea is they're just two poachers, they go out to the woods, they kill animals, and then they take them back to their place and they have them stuffed. That alone is a premise you could set up for just a Woody Woodpecker film. It's Home Alone, but it's in the woods with Woody Woodpecker, and that could have worked just fine. And that could have been priceless. That could have been brilliant slapstick comedy.
Yeah, we were watching the first 5 minutes of the movie. We're just is something gonna happen? Oh, actually, this is actually all right. The animation's just fine for Woody Woodpecker. Sort of same. He still looks ugly, but if it was just on that level of sort of slapstick and all that sort of stuff, I would have been happy with that. Yeah, it would have been decent.
It would have been better than trying to. Again, I don't know what it is about these studios. I don't know if it's a money-making measure or what, but they need to stop making these movies where it's and then we bring in the human element. No one's here for this. We're not here to see Timothy Odmanson as great an actor as he is. You go and see Woody Woodpecker for Woody freaking Woodpecker.
And if we're going to see any sort of human element, they're supposed to be supporting of the main character, which is Woody Woodpecker or Marmaduke. They are supposed to be the main character. Well,
at least the Scooby-Doo movie focused on the damn dog.
Yeah, definitely. And as much as crap as I give Marmaduke, it was still a movie about Marmaduke, but just about, dog high school.
They do this with Transformers, where it's about Nest, or the military, or Shia LaBeouf being stupid, so I guess Shia LaBeouf just being Shia LaBeouf. And that's it. It's I'm not here to see. They did the same thing where it's first TMNT movie from, I think, 2014. It's Megan Fox, let's put an importance on April O'Neil. No one cares about April O'Neil. No one watches Ninja Turtles for April O'Neil. You know what people watch for Ninja Turtles? They watch it for, shock of all shocks, they watch it for the Ninja Turtles. Who'd have guessed? And then the second movie comes out and they do make it about the Turtles, and you could tell every scene she's in, she's pissed that she's not the focus of attention, and it is wonderful.
Yeah, that is just sort of the issue that a lot of these sort of big-time companies have when they adapt any sort of cartoon. Because it feels, in a sense, like they don't trust enough that the cartoon character will be able to carry the movie.
But, the thing I don't understand about that is, okay, we all, you and I both know, everybody knows, movies are a balance of artistic integrity and business.
Right.
It has to be in order for it to exist. My thing that gets me is where it's Transformers, Gem, G.I. Joe, where it's we have to bend over backwards and they're all Hasbro, interestingly enough. We have to bend over backwards and change everything because we don't think this property could carry itself. If you don't think this property that is famous for being essentially a commercial for a toy, if you don't think it could carry itself, why do it?
Yeah, really.
Why spend millions of dollars? It's the same thing with the two live-action Smurf films, where the Smurfs were basically second-string bananas in an otherwise film about Neil Patrick Harris being either a crappy father or a crappy son to a stepfather. Why is this a thing?
Yeah, because as we both know, the nostalgia dollar is just instantly one of the most verifiable things around. If you can tap into that, you make millions worth of money. That's why a lot on Kickstarter, they have all those 8-bit games just still being produced, just still like clockwork. So,
yeah, and I mean, like, some of them are cool. I just recently did pick up one. I think it's called Saturday Morning the Game, and it's like a game based on 80s cartoon aesthetics.
yeah, I actually still have that game too. I still have to play it personally.
That's, like, I get the point of nostalgia. There's nothing inherently wrong with nostalgia. You know, sometimes it can be done to decent effect. I know that some people feel like The Force Awakens. I myself, as a Star Wars fan, The Force Awakens is a very split movie for me, where it's to me it's a great film for the new kids, for the kids to come in and love Star Wars, just like I fell in love with Star Wars with A New Hope.
Right.
That makes me really happy from a meta sense. As a person that's seen 6 films and then I got this, screw you. This is so lazy. You just rehashed A New Hope. Get creative. So it's that mixed bag. But then it's something like Woody Woodpecker. I'm guessing this is banking on the nostalgia of the cartoon, but really?
Yeah.
I don't get me wrong. Woody's cool, but he seems like a cartoon character that wasn't even, like, he was popular certainly, but he's not like Bugs Bunny. Even like, I didn't know he wasn't Hanna-Barbera, was he? I don't think he was.
No, he wasn't that. It was a whole like different sort of. It was a Harvey Toon, I believe. Like he was with Baby Huey, like Chilly Willy, and all those sort of characters, and Casper.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, wasn't that the one with like the dead kid who's rich?
Yeah.
The ghost of Richie Rich, Casper the Friendly Ghost.
Yeah, exactly.
So like the plot is weird because you have one plot where it's about the dad who wants to come out to Canada and he clearly wants to build a very big house and flip it. You have the relationship with his son that really generically goes to I have no connection. One vague scene together where we don't really talk. Oh, we care about each other now. They have the whole bit where the son is trying to fit in. We have generic bullies for a scene literally, and WHYBOY, you'll vouch for this, where there's one scene, kids walking down the street, kids are like, we don't like the way you walk in, and you're like, what's happening right now? And they're like, yeah, we're gonna beat you up, and like, I bet if this was played more tongue-in-cheek, almost like if it was a satire of those kinds of movies, it could have been brilliant.
Yeah, that would have been really funny. Like we'd have the boys being like, "You're going to beat me up for walking on the street?" Yeah,
I don't like the way you're walking, man. If that's your biggest problem in this world,
you're just sad.
You're just sad and lonely. And that's the thing. Like I'm tired of those kinds of bully characters. They did that too in like the Power Ranger movie where the bully's like a grade A psychopath. Like he tries to break Billy's hand.
Well, I think that's different from what we have here. Like Woody Woodpecker's bullies are just basically like, yeah, we're the most stock generic ones. Just copy and paste us into the script.
It was like the bulk and skull of Woody Woodpecker. Like they come out and you basically almost hear like they might as well have had that music. It's like, oh, but we don't own that, so we couldn't use it. But like for no reason, they show up. They're like, we don't like you. Woody shows up, does a bad effect where he tears up their clothes, and then they're gone for the rest of the film. And it doesn't even come up when they do like the Battle of the Bands thing at the end. It's
just weird.
It was like somebody had a checklist where it's like, loss of a dad, okay. Son wants to connect to loss of dad, okay. Meets a nice girl, uh-huh. Bullies, uh-huh. Maybe some kind of event like, uh-huh. And,
the movie's over.
Cartoon that we can bank on.
Well, family.
Yeah, it's like, I'm sure people can be like, oh, it's so bad. WHYBOY and I have been through so many movies. You have to understand the difference between something really bad and something where it's like, nobody made this because there was a passion behind it. They made this just to get money. Yeah,
I want to just bring up something like that some Woody Woodpecker fans would probably really hate. Like, you have Woody Woodpecker, like, doing all his lines and such, like, you can gauge whether you feel like these are actually like funny Woody Woodpecker lines. But the thing that sort of makes it annoying is that Woody will say all these lines, but nobody can understand him.
Yeah, which is weird. I could have swore that people knew he could talk in the cartoons, right? Like,
yeah, we watched a cartoon like right after the movie, and that guy could understand what Woody was saying.
That was actually funnier than the movie too. That it's like what was it, like 5 minutes of a guy in a barrel constantly falling down the Niagara Falls,
and just like a crowd of people just going, "Yay!"
Yay! And that's the thing. I think this is something I told you where I had said while we were watching. I'm like, studios don't seem to realize these characters are not made with the intent to be an hour-long, 30-some-odd minutes and maybe some change kind of film. And you had said to me, NERO, I mean, to be fair, anything could be extended to a movie length if you have good writing to it.
Yeah, if you are able to find the core of it, like the early Yogi Bear movies, I still personally like them because they were able to find what makes Yogi Bear good and basically actually extend it in the right places.
Is that like the Spruce Moose, where he's got the big plane and stuff?
But I believe so. Like, it's been a while since I saw the Yogi Bear movie, but I remember just watching it as a kid and just like, yeah, that was fun. And then the live action movie comes along, just like, wow, that's not.
Did it also fall into the trappings of, like, human actors over the bear? They have to save, like,
actually,
Jellystone.
it does focus a lot on Yogi Bear. It's just like, we gotta save the park, Yogi.
Oh, wow, so they did go for the whole save Jellystone thing, like Country Bears.
Yep, exactly.
Okay.
And Yogi Bear's just gotta learn that he's not as smart as the average bear, but he's even smarter.
He talks, doesn't that make him smarter than the average bear? I mean...
Yeah, just kind of right out of the gate he already is.
Yeah, right? Like, with Woody Woodpecker, I understand the charm of Woody Woodpecker is he's part of the Daffy line of characters, where he's, like, overly hyper... And it's insanely over the top. It's why it's one of the versions of Daffy Duck people tend to like is Daffy who bounces around and goes hoo-hoo and stuff like that. Even though to me personally, Daffy's better when he's like this greedy, sniveling little snot.
Yeah, I definitely feel like in comparison to like the Daffy woohoo sort of character, then Woody Woodpecker's going like super hyperactive. I like Woody a lot better as that. It just feels like as a woodpecker, he's able to like do a lot more like zipping around, and actually makes a lot more sense rather than just being a crazy duck.
No, like Daffy doesn't even like fly.
Yeah.
And they make jokes about that too, actually, in the Looney Tunes show. There's a part where like, Daffy, you have to fly. I can't do that. I'm not that kind of duck. And there's a part where like they're near like a waterfall. You have to like swim us across. Oh, I can't swim.
You're the worst duck ever.
Well, no, like Porky looks at me. He's like, Daffy, what kind of duck are you? And he goes, hey, it beats me. And then he pulls off his bill and he goes, this thing comes off really easily. And it's just a really funny, weird, off-color joke. And it's like, huh. This thing is generic, pure and simple. If, in your opinion, I think you'll flat out agree with me on this. It's a meh. Like you can't get angry at it because it's like, well, yeah, what'd you expect? It's Woody Woodpecker.
Yeah, I know. After we watched it, you were saying like a rock bottom sort of thing, but I was just the one to be saying like, no, it's just a meh. Because really, when we're talking about rock bottom movies, we're talking about like the insulting movies. We're talking about the movies that like really just no one just gave a shit about and just basically pushed it towards just basically an end where it was just there was no quality to it. Like I feel there was actually at least a generic sort of quality around this, basically just like, oh well, we just put this really bland muffin here for you all.
Yeah, it's clearly made not for the fans of Woody Woodpecker, but it's made for the general child-going audience to be like, here's a cartoon character that's quirky, enjoy for like the next hour and 20 minutes, and we got your money.
Yeah, and as soon as the kids eat it, they're just gonna be like, wow. Oh well, I can just go watch something else now.
That's the thing, it's like, unlike other movies where it's like Transformers, which upsets me because as a person who adores Optimus Prime, because Optimus Prime is essentially like Superman for the Autobots, You know, he's got that great phrase, freedom is the right of all sentient beings. You know, he's our protector. He comes to this planet and, you know, he protects us from evil. And the fact that, like, the movie comes out and it's like, oh my god, he's fighting a robot in the middle of a busy street, killing innocent people. What the hell's wrong with Optimus Prime? And it's like, screw him. Like, he doesn't care. That, to me, upsets me, because as a person who's a fan of the character, like, that's not the core character of Optimus Prime. You got it wrong. It's the same thing with Man of Steel. The core character of Superman is that he's he's undyingly sympathetic to us. He cares about us. He wants to protect us. He's like everybody's dad watching over to make everybody safe. And once you change that, you ruin it. This still gets the core of Woody Woodpecker, though. There's a woodpecker. He lives out in the woods. Some jerky hunters show up, and he screws with them. Unfortunately, they do decide, oh, well, we need to go for the humor of he farts and he poops on stuff.
A lot.
A lot. One point, he craps on an ice cream, and a guy eats Woody's poop, and Woody goes, wow, that's disgusting even for me. Then why was the joke made? Don't point out how stupid the joke is.
Yeah, it's just stupid. Like, the only, like... If you watch a Woody Woodpecker movie for, like, the first 5 minutes, you would see, like, wow, I would like to see that Woody Woodpecker movie. And the rest of it is just, no.
Because then it falls into all the trappings. It's the same thing where it's like, oh, the chipmunks, who don't look remotely like the chipmunks, they barely even look like actual chipmunks. You know, oh, they sing some songs. Oh, okay. And then all of a sudden it's like, Alvin eats poop. And it's like, you know what the funny thing is? We just discussed this when it's like, Paddington 2, and you just reviewed Paddington Bear. You click the card above the head, link in the description below. But you had brought this up where it's like, why does this keep happening where it's a property based on a kid's show or a kid's book, and for some reason every time they make a movie of it, it's like there's a weird checklist that's just passed around Hollywood of like, what do we have to do? We have to do a poop joke, we have to do a fart joke, character has to belch in, incessantly. Yep. Like, it's like a checklist of things they do for all these movies, and it's weird because it's like Paddington somehow is so reserved in that. Like, you see him, I think at one point he belches after eating a bunch of marmalade, and he's like binged on a bunch of jars, and it's like, that's fine, it's not over the top or anything. And then they lampshade the fart joke, and it's like, oh, that's actually clever because you thought of doing the joke, but you lampshaded it to be slightly different.
Yeah, it's just as simple as that. If you can lampshade it, then you can make this sort of fresh and new again. But with Woody Woodpecker, it's just like, they feel so almost proud of the poop joke. As they like do things like they poop on the ice cream, do like, ew, like, why would you even like see that sort of thing? Or just do like a smiley face and poop.
Yeah, the part that got me, and I was just thinking about it, was because of course the dad is dating a generic money-grubbing, gold-digger, younger-than-him girlfriend, because of course it's that kind of movie, where Woody flies down and he pulls a full-on spread eagle, and he just drops a load on her head, and you're like, put the Brazers logo on that scene. Perfect.
Yeah.
It's a good, like, 5 out of 7. Put it in the armoire. Fantastic. I love it.
Yeah.
And you know, it's a bummer.
What?
It's not so bad that you can enjoy it for sucking.
Yeah, it's just really boring after a while.
Yeah, I think because we've all gotten to that point. I think a lot of us have gotten to that point where it's like, I'm bored by this happening repeatedly. And that isn't to say where it's like, oh, like, you could do a better Woody Woodpecker movie. I'm not saying I could. But yeah, honestly, I think it's not really that impossible.
I say I could attempt a better Woody Woodpecker movie. I would focus more on Woody Woodpecker. I would have him like actually be able to communicate with humans. I would have the story be focused around his actions and such, not him reacting.
It's weird because the movie brings up the idea of like Woody's alone and has no friends, but meeting this little kid. He's able to actually finally develop a friendship of some kind, and it's something he never had before. And that alone could carry a film, quite honestly, in terms of a story.
Yeah,
We've all been,
Yeah, they don't focus on Woody Woodpecker's side of things. They focus on the boy and Tommy's side of things.
Which is weird, because, like, there's a good juxtaposition set up where it's like Woody Woodpecker is, all alone, because he's the last of the type of woodpeckers that he is. And Tommy moves to this new area, and he's new in town. So the idea of him connecting to Woody, who also doesn't have any friends, that alone That's a story. That's a movie for an all ages. It's like Paddington.
Yeah, it could
Paddington,
honestly work. Like, that simple
you know,
story can work for it. But you need to focus on the actual main character and have the supporting characters actually support him.
Otherwise, it's nothing.
Yeah.
There's some slapstick. It's not really funny. You have bad animation, which is or bad like effects because it's a low end budget.
Yeah, bad editing as well, as it's just very choppy throughout the whole thing.
Yeah, so...
Oh yeah, with also, like, you have circle wipes and you have, like, a crosshatch swipe.
That was funny. That was funny when you and I were watching it, and they do, like, the little square wipe to dissolve to the next scene, and then you and I were like, did a feature-length film just use, like, a preset from, like, Premiere Pro?
Yeah, like, I avoid touching any of those swipes. The only swipe I ever do is, like, that sort of, like, just a straight swipe, because it's just, like, you just a whoosh sort of thing.
Yeah, but that works with your action, though, because you're doing something where you're, like, going like this, indicating you're pulling the scene, or you're wiping the page to get a new scene to come in.
Yeah, I'm not doing
and this one, the transitions are
little squares, like, let's open them up.
And we see that, we're just like, okay. So yeah, we're going to give it a meh. I don't want to be speaking for you, but I think you agree with me where it's like, look, nobody wanted to make a Woody Woodpecker movie. This is a movie that's made to get money, and because it's made so low, it probably will. I mean, it probably won't, it won't make, the bank. It probably won't make bank or nothing, but I think it's going to be one of those...
Yeah, it made $8.3 million based off the Wikipedia page.
I wonder how much the budget was, because I didn't see any budget for it. Where I looked when I did research, I didn't find any budget for how much it cost to make this thing.
Yeah, no idea.
And I bet it was cheap because it was in Brazil.
No, I thought it was in Canada, because those are more Canadian.
But it was released. I guess it was filmed in Canada, but it must have been released in Brazil.
Yeah.
Because Brazil has such a wide appeal to Woody Woodpecker.
No, I don't know. I haven't like researched Woody Woodpecker enough to know like where it was like worldly popular.
Yeah, it's a weird film because it's like it feels like one of those films where if you see how horror movies are made now, especially with like Blumhouse, I think Blumhouse it's like $5 million a movie and that's the budget.
Yeah.
It feels like we're now going to start getting the Blumhouse treatment to kid property films, and because it's Universal, they'll drop like $5 million, which is probably like a drop in the bucket to them because they have Illumination in their pocket. Right. So and, all those minions make the money anyways.
Yeah, exactly.
I bet the Illumination guys, if this was the animated film that was originally being pitched around for a while, I bet that might have been good.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure they could have pulled together a Woody Woodpecker movie just decently enough. It at least wouldn't have been like generic like this.
Yeah, this is kind of like Hop, where it's that live action wannabe cartoon.
Yeah, Easter film.
Which I wonder, was Hop around the same time of development? Was Hop released in 2010?
As far as I remember, I don't believe so.
Because this was initially pitched to Illumination to develop,
right.
And it feels like it might have been during that area where they were doing that, where it's like, oh, we're developing it, and it'll be around that same time, and then like it got canceled, and then it got picked up again, and because they probably already spent money on something, I don't know, maybe they bought a script. This just feels like a bunch of scripts they already had, and then just sort of coagulated it together into one. They hodgepodged it into one thing. But yeah, Woody Woodpecker. It's a meh.
Meh.
Meh 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 meh.
Just watch the actual Woody Woodpecker cartoons. Like we just watched the one, and it was just like infinitely more funnier than the Woody Woodpecker movie.
Oh yeah, well dude, it's like watching Space Jam. Would you rather watch Space Jam, or would you actually just rather watch a Bugs Bunny cartoon?
A Bugs Bunny cartoon?
Yeah, I'd rather just watch a cartoon of Bugs Bunny screwing with Elmer Fudd for 5 minutes.
Yeah. As simple as that.
I don't have like a witty sign-off, so, be sure to like, subscribe, comment, hit the bell. That's important to get notifications. Stop on over to our Patreon. You can help support us. You could stop over to our TeePublic store. Buying shirts and merch helps us funnel into the show. And as always, be sure to tune in
to ToonGrin.
Yeah, cut.
Meh.
Much like Woody Woodpecker, I'm just not going to put forth the effort.